So welcome, we are going to start chapter 2. We already finished the introduction about the programming and computer system. And now I'm going to focus more on the basic requirement for C++ programming. So let's start with some part of the C++, or let's say the template. Also, I have already explained how to prepare a template in order to start any code. I'm going to go through it from scratch once again together. So I'm going to remove this whole thing. Please practice this with me, right? Remember I said I'm going to start with comment. How do I comment something? I'm going to comment, start with // on your Visual Studio. For example, this is the first example. Okay, I'm going to leave myself a comment like this. Why do I comment? Because I don't want the debugger to go through this line and still I need some explanation for myself. I comment it out. Or let's say I add those // at the beginning. So this is my first line. Right after that, I'm gonna prepare the directive or address the directive. One other name could be I'm gonna call the header file. Remember yesterday I said header file is a file that include most of the information or syntaxes or I don't know anything about arithmetic or operation or everything that we need for programming. In order to start my preprocessor directive, I always start with hashtag. Do it with me. Hashtag include, right? And then that right directive. So you need to open your bracket and inside the bracket say IO stream. IO stream is one of the mandatory things that we have to always include in our code. I'm done with the first line of my code. Remember, any line doesn't have the like a slash, it's gonna be considered through the debugging process, right? So now, most of the time I need to use namespace, right? Namespace is another directory. So how do I do it? I have to say using namespace. Please type with me, right? std, and we always close every code with semicolon. So we must close with semicolon, every line of the code, I mean, right? Now I'm gonna begin creating my main function. Before that, I want you to please confirm if my screen is enough clear to you. If not, I can just maximize to ensure everybody can see what I type clearly and do the same on your own computer. Do you mind kindly just confirming you can see clearly? Perfect. So now I'm gonna start creating my first function. How do I start creating a function? If it is a main function, no exemption, always we use the data type integer. Remember, for integer we don't type the whole integer keyword, we only type int. Do it with me. A space name, this is going to be the main function. Name of the main function always remain as main. We have no choice. We must keep it as it is. We couldn't adjust it and customize it. Later, when we have more information, I'll teach you how to create your own customized function. But about main function, name must stay as name, as main. So then open and close parentheses right after the term main. If you do it correctly, this is how you can understand you are doing it properly or not. If you do it correctly, you can see the colors are changing. Like main is changing to brown, int is changing to blue. If it doesn't, simply means you are going through some errors. Right after that, you are asked to begin the block for main. Begin the block means just open and close your bracket, then create some space the way I did right in here, since we are going to add information inside this open and close bracket. So far, I do have maybe a template, a basic template in order to start. C++ programming. Now, anything I'm gonna include right in this space, which I'm highlighting, is going to be the content of my main function, right? But we must always enclose them inside the bracket, the curly bracket. If we use any other bracket, we are gonna get error. It's a must to use only curly bracket in here and only parentheses in here, okay? None of these stuff are something optional. These are all must, and it must remain exactly as it is. Now, since this is going to be our first programming together, I'm going to just write down something basic. Like, for example, remember yesterday I said we can just print out maybe a line of code. In order to print out something, we have to use cout, right? Out stands for output, means output this code, or let's say this message for me. And then shift, and for example, I'm gonna say, okay, anytime you are going to put down some messages, some text, some number, or anything that you are going to see out as a message, it's not a variable, then you must enclose it inside some quotation. We call it output statement. So I'm going to create output statement. Hold shift and quotation on your keypad or keyboard. Then you are going to have this red quotations. Inside it, just mention any message that you would like to. There is no rule for this one. You can up to, like, you can customize it as you want. For example, I'm gonna say hello class, or you may want to say just anything. This is going to be my message to be as an output statement, right? And of course, please ensure you are closing the statement with semicolon, right? If not, you are gonna get error. Now I'm going to send 0 to operating system. How do I send 0 to operating system? I simply say return 0, still semicolon is mandatory. And then here is going to be my end of main function, or end of the block. This is going to be the beginning, and this is going to be the end of the block. Am I ready to debug this one? First, I have to check right in here, bottom of your screen, you can see no issue found. It must be a green check mark. If you do see that green check mark in there, perfect. You are ready to debug, or you are ready to output your statement. How? Simply just press this one, and you can see the black console is coming up with showing the hello class for my example right on top. As you can see in here, I'm going to maximize. So therefore, I did it properly. If you did so, congratulations. This is your first C++ programming. Anyone who are done properly, just either thumbs up or raise your hand to make sure everybody is following. Yeah, good. Is there anyone in the class who doesn't have the Visual Studio properly installed and unable to follow me? If so, let me know. Expectation is by now everybody being able to practice and learn, because this is something that you have to get yourself involved, not only listen to what I say. You cannot learn if you only listen. You must practice with me, please. Thank you. So let's move on, because you already learned through only this simple example good enough experience of creating maybe your first question in the lab, but I'm gonna add more. Remember, I just said double slash at the beginning means you are going to comment something. If you are using the pound or hashtag sign, then you are going to begin the preprocessor directive. Always you have pound include, but this directive can change. It could be IOStream plus many more other directives. At this point, let's just work with IOStream, but of course we are going to add more and more when we have a more advanced version of the program. So open and close bracket, I already mentioned, this open and close bracket, these are some special characters that I want you to become really familiar because we need them over and over and over for every single program now on. This open and close brackets, they are going to just enclose the directive name, right? And then open and close parentheses are mandatory in order, for example, for defining any new function or naming a function. And of course, we have the open and close brace or curly bracket. I already mentioned it in order to create the body of the function. And the quotation marks right in here are going to help you to enclose any statement that you want to be printed out as an output on your console. At the end, remember, semicolon is always mandatory. Without semicolon, you are going to get error. So for example, if I remove this one, immediately I'll see my green check mark on the screen is just switching to a red error. So that's why this is something also simple, but most of the time a huge trouble if you are missing it. So those are the most important ones. I already explained cout. I'm not gonna repeat, and I already explained how to debug. Now, one thing that also I explained yesterday, I'm gonna repeat is there are multiple methods in order to, in case I'm going to see up multiple line, there are multiple methods to have those line to be printed in different line, each of them in a different line, not all back to back. For example, if I add another cout, and then say hello, one CP3, right? And debug again, then my expectation is on the console, hello class and hello one CP3 being printed right back to back on the same line. As you can see right in here. Hello class, hello one CP3. So there is no even a space, nothing. So it's a messy look. Sometimes it may cause error in different programs. Now let's clean it up, give it a better cout. In order to do so, we have two options. One is, for example, in here, I can use \n. N stand for new line. N stand for new line means move to the new line. And maybe another one in here, move to the new line, right? This is one method. Let's debug. And now I'm expecting to see just two lines in like back-to-back line. None on this, yes, not on the same line anymore. Look at here. Hello class, hello one CP3. They are on different line. This is one method, or I can remove this and I can remove this. And instead of that, just come here and add end L. End is end, L stands for line, and L means end of line, means finish this line right in here, and L. And make sure, as I mentioned, it must be lowercase. So instead of that, you can say end L, right? And in here the same, you can add and L. So far you learned you've got two methods to move to the new line. Either you can use \n, N standing for new line, or you can use and L, L standing for line, means end this line right in here. Don't print out anything after this. Let's try it. Do the same with me. And you can see right now that same, I'm gonna have hello class and hello one CP3 back to back. Let me like maximize. It's not back to back in the same line. It's back to back in two different lines because I do have Endel right in here. Somebody tell me why for the first line I'm having this space before H. Any idea? Any idea? No. Okay. Look at here, guys. Right before the quotation in line 7, I do have some space. That's why when I have the printout in here, that same space is included in here. But here after quotation, I have no space. Now, I don't have a space in here. If I remove this space and debug again, keep in mind how it looks right now. Right now, H is moved, right? The position is moved to the second position. Now I can, because I removed the space, I'm gonna close this and debug again. The other space will be gone. And both of them are gonna start from the first position. Look at here now. So I believe so far you learned a lot of stuff. How to clean up your cout or how to clean up your statement printout. You simply need to just, for example, enclose them in quotation. If you want a space, if you don't want a space, you have to just have control over it right inside the quotation. You have to just either include endl at the end of the line, or if you want to use, I'm gonna for the other one still go back and include instead of endl \n to give you the difference. If it is endl, you must use shift after the quotation, then include endl. But if you are using \n, you must still include it inside the quotation mark. Okay, that's the difference. Pay attention. This is important. You cannot put it outside. So far, any question? Everyone good? Good. So let's just add a little bit more information. We already practiced them. We already explained NL. And now let's add hash include is given to you. Let's just go and focus. We can do either \n and endl and both get us 2 lines. Yes. Somebody again just confirming his understanding. Thank you very much. Yes, your understanding is 100% correct. Either endl or \n, both of them are going to guide you or move you to the new line, not the same exact line. So now we are going to focus a little bit more on variables. This part is a bit more detailed. Pay attention, okay? Variable is a like huge amount of the memory because we have a lot of variables. But this is important. We have to call the directory for that certain variable. Some of the variables are not, for example, included in IOStream. Like what? Like a string. If I am going to use a string, okay, then I have to call the variable the directory of a string. A string directory is called the same. Like for example, in here, I have to come back and mention hash include and then open your bracket and include a string. A string by itself is a directory. So a string is used for the time that we are going to use anything like alphabet. But anything like integer is also a data type. We call them data type. Anything like integer is still included in IOStream. So we are good enough for most of them, but not for all of them. Now, how do I define any variable? One time I have already included variable integer right in here, right? But now inside the body of the function, I'm going to define a new variable as well. How do I do it? I'm going to make some space right in here and start defining a new variable for you. I'm going to give it data type integer. So I have to say int. Let's say I'm going to call it a number, or anything. And still, since this is a variable, I have to close the line with semicolon. Somebody's asking question in here. My debugging didn't work. It says the project is out of data. Would you like to build it? Yes, press yes. Press yes. This is a build solution. Press build solution and see what will happen. So now we have learned how to define a variable. Next step, I'm gonna define the variable with more detail. So this is the variable definition. Now I'm gonna say what is this number. I defined the variable, just the name, but now I'm gonna give it some number. So I have to say number. Remember yesterday I said if you are using one equal doesn't mean equal, means assign, means assign. So I'm gonna assign my number to a certain digit like 5 and then close it with semicolon. So now I've got a number. I don't need this part now. I'm gonna see out this number now. How do I do it? How do I see out? I have to say see out. I'm gonna change this like information in here. Since I have a number, I'm gonna say the number or the value of the number, or you can include anything, the number. And then since it doesn't know how to read the number, I have to add another shift. And then since number by itself is a variable, say read the number, whatever the number is. And it should turn to blue, dark blue. If not, it's not correct. And then the rest is gonna be end all. Now look at here what we did. I'm gonna remove this. So I created an example. In this example, I included the directory iOS stream. I said using namespace. If I don't use using namespace, instead of that, do I have any other option? Yes. It's not comfortable, but it's correct. Technically, you won't get error. If you don't use using namespace before main, this line is a must. Must be before main, not after main. If it is anywhere after main, still it doesn't work and it will give you error. So it must be before main. And if you don't use using namespace, the other method is this std must be added to every single line. So you have to add std colon colon to every single line, which is not comfortable. Therefore, it's much easier. We will practice some of those methods to give you that understanding as well. But still, have it in mind, it's better and more efficient to have one single line at the beginning and not to keep it std colon colon for the rest of the code. Also, technically is correct. Now I believe I'm ready to debug since I see this green hashtag. So I'm gonna debug. So look at here. I ask for printing out the number 5. And I can see on my debug console that the number 5, what is the number 5? The number is coming from my text and then it is reading the number from here. If I change 5 in here, then I will see, for example, if I make it 3, I will see 3. If I make it 6, I will see 6 and so on. Hopefully everybody